The season has ended. It's time for the wild card round. Good lord. Jeez, there's a lot that we missed over that last week, more than we thought.
You ain't lying, cause, ooh boy, where do we even begin? I'd say
Let's just hit the highlights for that.
Yes.
The first being the Texans and Colts game, which, good lord, why would you run a pass play on that when you have a running back that's getting you 4 or 5 yards carry pretty much on 4th and 1?
Yeah,
Why was your
that
running
was.
back just not on the field?
I don't know. That was questionable, and the fact that it was such an easy pass and that dude just straight up dropped it. That's what makes it even more hilarious.
Y'all were saying
I wouldn't say. I mean,
y'all
it
were
was an
saying
easy
this then.
pass, but
Y'all
it
were
was
saying this
poorly
then, and I
executed.
said it when it happened. Minshew threw that a little bit behind the dude. He reached back to grab it, and you can see his fingertips try to grab the ball, and he pulls away a little too early. He pulled back before he grabbed it.
It was definitely behind him. Like, it wasn't a great throw, but it was still catchable. So it's on both of them, honestly, Minshew and the receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, he even admitted that they worked on it all week long, that specific play specifically for himself, and that they were going to call it at a time as what they did, and he knew it was coming and still failed to execute that play, which would have given them the first down and potentially would have led them to a game-winning drive.
Yep. But
But hey, my Texans.
The result of the game's the same though. Texans win.
Go from just an atrocious last 2 seasons to being AFC South champs, just
Congrats,
like
bro.
that. Rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, rookie receiver, who was a wide receiver 1 until he was injured. Right, rookie quarterback. I mean, just all the things. Colin Coward, you can suck it. Come at me, bro. I said it. For all the negativity at the beginning of this season, where you just absolutely trashed them and put them down.
And dare we say we applaud Jose for making his prediction correct earlier this season when he asked if the Texans were a playoff team this year.
We are absolutely not going to applaud Jose, because Jose said that about a great many teams, including the Broncos, who are not a...
I only said the Broncos and the Texans. Those were the only two I said could be contenders.
Oh, so we're going to applaud you for being half correct, 50% accuracy? I think not.
I'm just saying, Will was doubting earlier this season. I thought
with
they
all
were a
rights,
playoff team.
With all rights, it was understandable to doubt them based on the last 2 seasons and those things.
Yeah, definitely a major step up from the last 2 seasons.
I would like to point something out while we are on the topic of the Texans, though. As we know, and we've all said it many times before, CJ Stroud is the better between him and Bryce Young.
Easily, hands down.
I can't remember. I saw a video earlier this week about it, and at the time, I can't remember when the video was made, but at the time, CJ Stroud had 4 more completions than Bryce Young did, but over 100 more yards.
That's
Are we talking for the season? Or
I can't remember if that was for the season or just as like a specific week.
Yeah, that has to be a specific week because Stroud was the 5th rookie to throw for 4,000 yards, and nowhere has Bryce Young been mentioned for throwing 3,900 yards and being close to that same record.
Actually, I'm gonna hold on.
It had to be a particular game.
100 yards, yeah. That's not even. There's no way that their season yardage is comparable. It has to be a specific game.
Yeah, it has to be.
While I'm looking this up, Chris, you go ahead with the Saints and Falcons game and the chaos that happened at the end of that.
Where do I even begin with that? Because honestly, for one, I absolutely love taking out the Falcons like the way we did. You see, here in New Orleans, as most people know, as most of our viewers are mostly from Louisiana in general, it's just great to know that any day we beat the Falcons, it's a beautiful day. And when we beat them by nearly 50 plus points, oh, that's a beautiful day. Just adds to it. Mwah. But let me go down into how this game went. So, stakes were on the line for the Saints. The Saints had technically two last shots to get into the playoffs. And the Falcons had one last shot to potentially win the division and make the playoffs. Well, the Saints ended that real fast, but it's not how the Saints won the game; it's how the game ended and finished. So we had picked off, or Tyrann Mathieu picked off Desmond Ridder for Atlanta's basically what's the word I'm looking for? Trash points, basically. They were trying to get
Garbage
last
time.
minute trash. Yeah, garbage time. Thank you. And he picked him off. He ran all the way to the 1 yard line. And from what we heard, Dennis Allen wanted to simply kneel it and end the game. There was literally 1 second left in the game, or maybe a couple seconds left. But the complete opposite happened. Jameis Winston was out of the field. His job was to simply kneel, but instead he handed the ball off to Jamal Williams, who, keep in mind, was the number one touchdown scoring leader last season. Yet to score this season, he gave the ball to him, and they scored his first touchdown of the year with the Saints. And let's just say one thing led to another. The Falcons coach became a baby on the field, started crying and wham. He was upset with Dennis Allen. But here's what really ticked me off about Dennis Allen. He, at the end, at his press conference after the game, he apologizes to the Falcons, to Arthur Smith in general, who's now been fired since then. Why in the hell would you apologize to your hated rivals that we've been hating since they first existed in the NFL? Like, that's what blows my mind. Like, if Sean Payne was still our coach, he wouldn't be apologizing. He'd be talking more smack. And gosh, that
People,
really irked me wrong.
I have to bring up that a lot of people are blaming Jameis Winston for that. As he said, it was a team decision when they were out on the field. Not made by the head coach. It was made by the players themselves. They wanted to do that for Jamal. And I think Jimmy Graham said it best. People need to get off of Jameis's back about it. And to end his statement when he made it on Twitter, he said, also, F the Falcons.
Amen, brother. Amen. You simply don't apologize to the Falcons, your hated rivals. And what you also don't do is throw your own players under the bus for it. And that's what Dennis Allen did. And you wonder why the players decided to do what they had to do. And honestly, I'm all for it. I support the players in that because I hate Dennis Allen with passion. He needs to go. And what really boils me is that he's going to be here for another season. What are you doing, Mickey Loomis? You clown. I have a million curse words I want to say, but we're on live. I'm not going to do that. So.
A rough time for the Saints fans after the Panthers had a chance but failed to beat the Buccaneers.
They didn't just fail. It was just absolute pathetic showing. They didn't score any points against a Bucs team who literally only scored 9 points to win the game, and all field goals too. So, and on top of that, I'm looking at you, Bears and Cardinals. You two clowns could have given us a chance one more chance, and you guys blew it.
That's not on them, though. It shouldn't be up to other teams to determine if the Saints make it in or not.
Of course not. Of course not. I'm realistic about that. I'm just poking fun at those two particular teams because, they could have given us one more shot, but it is what it is. So, but in the end, in terms of the game with the Packers, we should have beaten them in the first place. If we had beaten them, this would have been completely different. But Here's what it is at this point. Another year,
Yep.
third year in a row, no playoffs. I'm sorry, folks. Things are looking downhill for the Saints, and unfortunately, the Saints are too up their own you-know-whats to understand changes need to be made, and they must be made immediately.
Well, going from a team that's on a decline to a team that's on the come up here, going back to what I was saying earlier about those stats, comparing CJ and Bryce Young, CJ is 319 of 499 on the season. Bryce Young is 316 of 527 on the season. Here's the thing. Bryce Young has 2.8K yards. CJ has 4.1.
That's impressive.
CJ has significantly more yards than Bryce does, with only 4 more completions.
Yeah, Bryce Young, poor fella. I mean, the only thing I'll let him slide on is he was put in like the worst situation ever with the worst. Well, I would say worst coach, but let's just say equally bad coach here. He had no O line. His only best receiver I would say is Adam Thielen, and he did all right, but you need more than just that guy. And honestly, with no O line, you can't do anything with that. But on top of that, you still underperformed. You obviously need a lot of help. CJ Stroud, surprisingly, was in a way better situation than the Panthers. So I'm happy for CJ Stroud, and I'm happy for the Texans because they got themselves a really good quarterback for the future. So bravo.
Yep. And I believe before we move on to the games, we also have to mention the college football championship happened this past week. Congratulations to Michigan for winning.
Michigan.
Yep, I'm sure my relatives up north are very happy to this day.
I do feel bad for Penix though. He was in some pain after that game.
Yeah, prayers to that guy. I hope he's all right.
He was kind of hobbling into the locker room after that. A rough day for Washington.
Yeah, but along with college news, and this happened today, ironically, Nick Saban has called it a career. He has retired officially from the University of Alabama. Could I just get an amen to relief that he's finally gone?
Who's got the confetti?
Oh man, I knew I put that confetti on somewhere. But now that
Confetti, the
leads to
air horns, everything.
yes. But now it leads to the question: who's going to be Alabama's next coach? And of course, everybody's go-to guy, and being the Ole Miss fan here, is everyone's looking at Lane Kiffin. Yes, I get it. He's had a history of like just bolting from one school to the next. But as an Ole Miss fan, let me just die it down for the audience here. Lane Kiffin is not going anywhere, and I am full on confident on that. Because this has happened to Ole Miss now 4 times in a row while Lane has been our coach. First time was with Oregon. Second time was with Miami. Third time was with LSU. Fourth time was in Auburn, which was literally last year. So am I really going to buy into that he could possibly bolt for Bama? No. Now, will he probably flirt with the idea? Possibly, because this is Lane Kiffin we're talking about. So, but as a confident Ole Miss fan who has seen these coaching rumors float around his head 4 times in a row, I'm pretty certain he's not going anywhere. So, Bama, good luck in the coaching search.
I'm just saying, you were also very confident about 2 picks that were made earlier this year that you made bets on that you lost.
This is true, but that's in the NFL. This is not college football.
I'm just saying, just because you think it's not going to happen doesn't mean it won't.
Well, let's look at it this way. If let's say if Lane chooses to go to Bama instead of staying at Ole Miss, one, I see it as him. He gave us the green card for potential success in post life of Lane Kiffin. Like he just gave us the tools on how to be a successful program and how to recruit and how to get new players, etc., and how to win. Basically, we set a new culture at Ole Miss, and that's if he does leave for Bama, then that's who I would thank for changing the culture at Ole Miss, because Ole Miss has always been considered as the mid to lower tier SEC teams who are never taken seriously. But with Lane Kiffin, he made us a little more seriously, especially getting two 10-plus win seasons under his belt at Ole Miss. I have nothing but to give thanks for him if he were to go to Bama. But I'm pretty certain he's not going. So,
all right. Well, regardless, with Nick Saban gone, as much as I despise Bama, he was a good coach.
he was. We give him props for that. And I will also thank Nick Saban for all the memes I've collected over the years.
All right. Well, with that, let's move on to a wild card weekend. First up on Saturday, the first game of the week from Houston, Texas, Browns and Texans.
That's that.
Go.
Will, you want to take this
one? What a game! What a way to hold a home playoff game for the first time in 4 scores in 7 years. It seems like this game, man, to be able to go to this game would be something, because it's gonna be a game. I mean, Houston and Cleveland met in the regular season when we were missing, man, multiple key components on both sides of the ball, offensive, defensively. I mean, you had Shroud, Nico, and Schultz out. On the defensive side, you were missing like Jonathan Grenard, Stingley, Jimmy Ward. We were missing a bunch of key components. And I mean, unfortunately, we lost 36-22, and that was with Keenum and Mills at quarterback at home. But this time around, you know, we've got our starters back, a lot of them. I mean, we still, looking at the practice notes this week, we still have a few guys who are not practicing, you know, taking it easy, taking it light, getting in preparation for game day. I foresee this being a much closer game. The big thing that's going to be an issue is locking down Amari Cooper. He went for 200 yards against us. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. But that's going to be the key thing here in this. I mean, Amari's just, compared to a lot of cornerbacks and safeties in the NFL, he's kind of like DK and just makes them look small. Like, Amari's much bigger than people think. So that's where Stingley is going to come into effect. Kareem Jackson, these guys kind of locking him down, leaving that free safety to roam, and Stingley just manning him the whole time. Because I mean, Stingley's had a season, had a hell of a season. You know, 5 INTs.
Yeah, he had a streak for a while. He had a streak for a while with one a game
on the season. You know, classes deflected yards after carry is only 52 yards after carry for the season, like after catch. I mean, so I mean, that's going to be where the issue lies, is locking down Amari Cooper from start to finish. Man, it's going to be tough. That Browns team is on fire. You can, you know, ignore what happened this past weekend. I mean, they sat a bunch of starters. You know, they gave that game to the Bengals. Just handed it to them as soon as they walked into the stadium. I mean, they went, if I'm correct, they got shut out. Flacco didn't start. Amari didn't start. Jerome Ford, just everybody just took a seat.
I believe Jerome Ford played, but I don't think he did much.
Yeah,
I'd have to look.
So
I don't believe Njoku played either.
It's a team that's going to be fresh. They're on a hot streak. I mean, Joe Flacco's balling out from coming off the couch to taking Cleveland into the playoffs like this. So, what a game. I have faith. I want to have all the faith I can in them. but I don't know how much that's going to do. You know, they're going to have to, everyone is going to have to be on their A game. The O-line, I mean, you're dealing with Myles Garrett, who is just a menace. You will see teams throughout the whole season double team this man and just follow him from both sides. And it's usually two tight ends from both sides of the that line, just going back and forth. So I mean, everything is going to have to be. This is going to have to be the best game of their season. Like hands down, everything has to just fall correctly and pull out all the stops.
Agreed. Yeah, this is going to be a really good game to watch, and I would love to watch it, but sadly I'll be going camping this weekend, so I would not be able to watch it.
Out of the 6 games this weekend, I think this is going to be, honestly, this one, there's 3 that are going to be the best, but I think this one is going to be the top game to watch this week, besides that Eagles-Bucks game later on. But
I don't know, that Rams-Lions game is gonna
it's gonna be good, but this one, I think this one's gonna top it. I'm gonna stick with my team. It is playoffs. I say they win by a field goal. I'm not gonna give them that whole touchdown, 10 points. I think it's gonna come down to last minute, last drive, like we've done, and then just come out with a win and have all faith that they're gonna do that.
Yeah, I want to add something to what you were saying, Will, about locking up Amari Cooper. If they can manage to do that, they're gonna have to watch out for Njoku, because it's clear from the past few weeks that him and Flacco have a connection. Multiple games, Njoku had 100 yards at least and a couple touchdowns. If they can lock up Cooper, they got to have somebody on him.
Yeah,
Njoku will run away with it.
Taking down Njoku and Amari Cooper is essential in the Texans' success in beating the Browns. And also to add to that, granted the Browns have yet to face C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has to ball out in this game. I think he will, but it's going to be a tough fight to the finish because Joe Flacco lately has also been balling out like crazy. So if the Texans defense shuts them down quickly and C.J. Stroud just does his thing, slinging around like we've seen him do all season, then they have a great shot. I'm going to also take the Texans by 3 in overtime.
Sheesh, overtime.
I got a gut feeling this is gonna be one of those kind of games that just hits overtime.
Maybe. The Browns are a scary team, but I'm also gonna roll with the Texans. I think it's gonna be a squeak by win. It's by no means gonna be like a solid win. It's gonna be like 3-point win, if anything. Because the Browns defense is, I think, toward the end of the season was ranked number 1 overall. And then the offense is potent too. Joe Flacco's playing like if the Texans don't stop this Browns team, like this Browns team could go all the way to the Super Bowl. Like it looks that good to where it could do that. But what?
Yep, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna pick the Texans as well.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna comment and say it's funny how the Browns snuck up on us, but it's crazy that because the Browns, like earlier this off season, you just didn't think about the Browns. You thought, okay, maybe they might go 8-9 or 9-8. They're not gonna be that great, especially even with Deshaun Watson at the time. But they just snuck up under our noses and just suddenly got good. And of course, I'll do credit to Joe Flacco, but they just snuck up on us, and now they're looking like a potential Super Bowl threat of a team. So, but of course, they got to get through the Texans first.
I just want to say,
do that.
How crazy it sounds to say that the Browns could be a Super Bowl team.
I know, that's just like eating bad milk.
I mean, it's not that crazy. Baker Mayfield took him to the AFC Championship, what, 2-3 years ago?
3 years ago. Yep.
Granted,
No,
that
but it's
was in
still so
2020.
odd. It's still so odd to like from how bad the Browns were just a few years ago to now them actually being a kind of scary team.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the Texans. Look at the Lions. Like we got a bunch of those in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and I'm
Look at the
glad to
Rams
see
after
that.
they had
franchises.
the Rams that had a season like they did last season after winning the Super Bowl and just looked atrocious last year. And now they're back in it, looking the way they do.
Yeah, but it feels like it's different for the Browns because for the longest time the Browns were like the laughing stock of the NFL. Like even when they were good, they would find ways to lose games.
Much like the Saints.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
nice to
Saints.
see them actually, doing well for once.
Yeah, agreed. And for the longest of time, I felt bad for the Browns because for as long as I've grown up, I'm 30 years old now. I've seen the Browns just be bad after bad after bad season. I just felt bad for them, and now they look legit, and I'm like, I don't know how to process it because I'm so used to them being so bad.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So,
But I am going to also roll with the Texans here, and I'm going to make a slightly bolder prediction than y'all. I say it's
please
by
don't.
7.
Oh God.
oh,
No.
Jinxed it. Texans are losing.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, you got to be reserved here, brother, because this is the defense that I'm terrified of. Like watching them all season, like everyone was so like, oh, Steelers defense, oh, Baltimore's defense, oh, this, that. And Cleveland's defense, low-key just being sneaky in the background while no one was paying attention to them because it's Cleveland and they're making plays after plays after plays. And everyone's just kind of like not really paying much attention to them. But this defense is another level that no one really recognized until later in the season when it's like, oh, well, they're winning.
Well,
Oh, well,
let
it's
me
that
give you my reasoning. Like you said, I believe you said score was what 36-22,
Mm-hmm.
and that was with a lot of injured players. And I believe did Davis Mills start or did he sub in
No,
like midway
Keenum
through?
started, and they didn't sub Davis Mills until middle of the third, fourth quarter, which he led back-to-back touchdown drives. So it took that long for them to score.
Yes,
But you waited that
they
long
got
to do that
those
replacement.
2 touchdowns back-to-back drives with Davis Mills and with what third, maybe fourth string receivers. No
Mm-hmm.
Dalton Schultz. I think with the weapons they've got now, assuming everybody's or the majority of them are fully healthy, I think they can keep up with the Browns and possibly come out a touchdown ahead.
But it's playoffs, and you got to look at it differently. They're all teams are about to play on a different level. It happens year in and year out, where teams just play at a whole nother level, being in the playoffs.
Well, I'm gonna stick with my pick. I'm gonna stick with it.
good luck.
Let's move on here, though. Oh God, why is this on Peacock again?
Yes, yes.
Saturday at 7:00, Dolphins Chiefs, and this is in Arrowhead, as the
First
Chiefs
up-
are the 3 seed.
Where it is
First off-
supposed to be -2 on Saturday in Kansas
Oh
City.
no.
That is the
Ooh.
predicted weather.
Is Tyreek playing?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
So is
She is.
Pacheco.
I assumed Pacheco was. I didn't know
Well,
if
they
Tyreek was well enough
were
yet.
unsure if Pacheco was going to or not.
Honestly, this is going to be a battle. But I feel like the Chiefs have a bigger edge, mainly because one, they're at home.
Mhm.
Two, despite the freezing conditions, they are more well adapted to it than the Dolphins, who live in deep South Florida. And three, I don't know. It's just the Dolphins haven't been very impressive these last few weeks, and like, granted, I knew they weren't going to beat the Ravens, and they got walloped by the Ravens. But then to lose their last game of the season the way they did, I don't know. I just don't like the way they have been playing lately. So I'm taking the Chiefs mainly because of home field advantage, and I think I'm not gonna say they have way better receivers than the Chiefs
don't.
because they really don't. Like all the
The
guys,
Chiefs
Travis
don't
Kelce,
have better receivers than the Dolphins. They do not.
they do. Yeah, no. So I'm only taking them because they have the home field advantage, and plus they adapt way better in the cold than the Dolphins. That's pretty much the only reason. Because honestly, I don't have much faith in the Chiefs either. Because honestly, they haven't been looking good themselves. So, so it's really gonna come down to whose offense will produce the most points. Because the Chiefs have a pretty good defense. Dolphins, so. It kind of depends on their day, I guess. But I think the Chiefs just have a better edge here in this matchup.
Yeah, I am tempted to agree with you because you're right. The Chiefs at home is a good team, or that's a good like the Chiefs are better at home for sure. And the Dolphins don't travel very well, and they especially don't travel to cold places very well. But I mean, if you look at the Germany game, like that was what a one-score game. It's hard for me to say that the Chiefs are gonna beat them twice in the same year when the Chiefs have only gotten worse from when they played the first time. And it is tough because it's like it's a crumbling empire versus fool's gold. What's gonna win? And I think
That's
the
a good analogy.
Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, fool's gold. The fool's gold's better than a regular rock. It's not as good as gold. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I was gonna continue the analogy. I'm now just rambling about stuff. But I think the Dolphins are gonna win.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Paulo on this one actually. Yeah, the Chiefs may have a good defense and they may be at home, but their offensive struggles are in plain sight for everybody. Receivers that can't catch a pass. If Kelce starts struggling, he's going to struggle the whole game. Mahomes, like Paulo said, it feels like they've just been getting worse as the season goes. And yes, the Dolphins have their blunders every now and then, but their offense has too many good weapons, I think. I think personally this game comes down to which quarterback makes less mistakes, because we've seen in the past few weeks Mahomes has made a few mistakes. Tua has had games that were good and had games that weren't so good. Whichever quarterback I think plays better is going to be the team that wins, and I'm picking Dolphins.
And they did lose to the Bills for their last game, but that was without Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert. So with a full roster, it could have been different.
You're also missing Bradley Chubb and Phillips on the defensive side of the ball to major injuries.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I've got mixed feelings about this game, only because this season Miami is 1-6 against teams that are above 500, and they're going into Arrowhead. -2. You're looking at snow temperatures. You're looking at a whole bunch of factors that just stack against Miami. But like Jose said, KC's offense has just been a struggle bus, just all season long. Even Kelce. I mean, Kelce has had a rough season himself. Yeah, he's still he was 16 yards shy of his 8th consecutive 1,000-yard season, which is, 1,000 yards, that's great. But he himself has struggled. And that defense has its moments. Towards the end of the season, that KC defense has picked up. I don't think it's going to come down to the quarterback play. I think it's going to be one of those Buffalo games where it's going to come down to running back play. Based on the weather, wind, snow, that ball's going to be wet. You're looking at a lot of drop passes, potential INTs for both sides, both teams. So I think it's going to come down to the running back room more than it is quarterbacks. And if you look at running back rooms side by side,
Yeah.
I would favor Miami's running back room over KC's by just a little bit based on what they've done this season. Yes, Pacheco has put that team on his shoulders and ran with it, but Miami has just a killer triple header in Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and HN, who has had a pretty damn good rookie season, minus that short period where he was on IR. I think that's where that edge comes in at, is with that running back room, with just the weather and how things are going to go. So that's why I think Miami's going to come in here. They're going to bounce back. Yeah, that loss to the Bills last week. Like I said, major injuries there. You know, that game in Germany, that was a weird game. They came back from a 21-point deficit and still only lost by a score. So, you know, they've
Yeah.
got it in them. And that's over there in Germany, right? We can't really use that as a definition. Yeah, they lost, but still. I think
It's
Miami does
essentially
come
an
in there.
away game.
Yeah, it's neither free. Both teams, it's an away game. So I do think Miami comes in and beats them out just based on that running back room. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of passing. I think, you know, Miami's still going to try to sling it downfield. You've got Tyreek, and hopefully you've got Waddle back. But
I think they
I,
will
I
have
think it's
Waddle
going to
back.
be I think it's just going to be a run heavy game plan for both teams, and that's just going to come down to whose defensive line can stay fresh and can make stops. And that just wears you down, just having the ball run down your throat, play after play, drive after drive for 4 quarters in sub freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
All
And
right, so
and who
Chris odd
knows?
man out.
Who
Yep.
knows? With the Chiefs receivers, they might actually catch a couple passes with Eli Apple guarding them.
Yeah.
Burt toast Apple. Yes, I will make more memes if Apple gets toasted again.
You know, it only makes sense that Eli Apple would get an interception last game and then run it out to the 3-yard line. Of course, Eli Apple. Who else?
Well, moving on here. First game of Sunday on CBS, we have Steelers, Bills, and the Bills. How the heck? How
They
are they
snuck in.
2?
I don't know. What really surprises me is how the heck did the Steelers get in? Like, that just blows my mind. Like, I thought they were just toast after the last few weeks of their season. Somehow they still snuck in.
They just got a bunch of bad wins. Like a bunch of we
Struggle
win by
wins.
3, we win by 6. Like just not any impressive wins until they put Mason Rudolph in. Those were pretty good wins, but all of their Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky wins were just nothing to write home about.
Yeah. Yeah, what you just said there. So in regards to this game might be, I don't know, because I want to say a defensive game, but at the same time, the Bills have way better offense than the Steelers, clearly by miles. I think this could just be a one-sided game in favor of the Bills because they're one at home, and two, the Bills just have a way better offense. As long as that offense plays to their potential, because we've seen the Bills play badly before.
Do we know if Gabe Davis is going to play? Because I know he got hurt last week.
That's a good question. I don't know on the top of my head, but
Would anyone mind taking a quick look and see if you can find anything
I'll take
about it? I have a little
I'll take a
side
look.
note here I want to make. Regarding the AFC North, I want to point out they are the only AFC division that does not have a team with a losing record.
The
That's
AFC.
interesting.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the AFC North. I thought you were talking about the AFC East for a second. I
They're
was
the
like,
only
what are you talking
the
about?
only division in the AFC that does not have a losing record team. Only by one game though, because the Bengals are 9-8.
Yeah. Best division in football this year.
The East has the Patriots, who are 4-13. Rest in peace.
And the Jets.
Yeah, that's true. 7-10. The AFC South has the Titans, who are 6-11, and the AFC West has the Chargers, who are 5-12.
Yep.
Yeah, so as far as Gabe Davis goes, and there's a couple others on their injury report. They didn't practice, but they're kind of a day-to-day ordeal at the moment.
Even if Davis doesn't play, I'd say it's about even because TJ Watt's not going to play.
Yeah, that's massive on that Steelers front.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
thing. I
But
don't
I
see
agree with Chris though. I just see it's in Buffalo. Like the way the Bills have played as late in the season as they have been. Like I just don't see. I mean, it's possible. I mean, we've seen Josh Allen just go from looking good. You're like, ah, that's a quarterback right there. That's a franchise quarterback to just is this Mac Jones 2.0? You know, it's one or the other. Like it's hard like week to week to watch him. And I've got a coworker who's a hardcore Bills fan, and like he's going through it. Like he's gone through it all season. Just doesn't know how to feel from game to game. Like he bets. It's so bad that he bets on Josh Allen to throw an interception every game, just because he knows it's a sure bet. Like it's
Hey, it's
just
a
gonna
safe bet.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those like. Is Josh Allen going to roll out of bed and be an MVP caliber quarterback, or is he going to roll out of bed and just forget how to play football? Like, which one are you going to get? You know, in the wild card round. I mean, honestly, it could go either way. I feel like I don't think Buffalo's defense is that much better than the Steelers. Honestly, the way they've been playing themselves and keeping themselves in games. But I do think Buffalo wins at least this wild card round.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't know so much as divisional, but I think that at least they squeak by, get out of this one, get into the next game. But I don't think it's going to be anything insane.
yeah, I think one of the main things for the Bills in this game, get Diggs involved for the love of God. Last week he was 7 of 8 for 87 receiving yards. That's the first time he's been over 50 yards in almost 2 months.
You know, instead of a swear jar, we need a jar for every time that Jose brings up Stephon Diggs' involvement in the Bills team.
They're gonna have to get him involved if Gabe Davis doesn't play or is limited.
Well,
The
yeah.
bad thing is, so for those who don't know, Jose had Stephon Diggs on his fantasy team. Fantasy's over, and this man is still begging
He's still
I'm-
on
Diggs
it.
to get the ball. And
I'm
fantasy
saying.
ended, and he is
Week
still
1 next
begging
year
to
is
get
going to be
this-
the first topic of conversation.
That's going to be the
Jesus
very first
Christ.
topic of the podcast. Get Diggs the ball, sir. This season just started. Calm down.
I just want to point out, yes, there was points earlier in the season where he did absolutely jack for me, and yes, he is on the list now with Isaiah McKenzie and Zay Jones. But
The list.
but there have been plenty of games where they just don't get Diggs involved, and they kind of suffer a little bit for it. They have all the other targets that Allen throws to, and he just completely ignores Diggs. Diggs is a playmaker. Get him the ball.
Hey, if he's not open, he's not open.
That's the problem. He hasn't been open.
There's been
Yeah,
multiple games where he's had like maybe 4 targets and like 3 catches.
I know. We've
That's
heard you vent
that's
about
life. That's life, though. Better to pass to an open receiver than to try to force it into Stephon Diggs if he's not open. Because that would be even more picks if he tried to do that.
I still say they need to give the man the ball more, because what they were doing is kind of, they're not using him for the money they're paying him.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm still gonna
That's-
take the Bills though in this, like y'all said, in Buffalo. The only thing I think is it's not gonna be like they're not gonna run away with it, because the Steelers defense, even without Watt, I think is pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills as well. I don't think it's gonna be like a runaway win, but I think it should be a solid, like a decisive win, like a touchdown or 10 points or whatever. Like I think that Pittsburgh with Mason Rudolph has been pretty good, and that their whole offense is healthy, if I'm not mistaken. So they should be able to put up some points.
Yeah.
And then the Bills. I don't know. I feel like the Bills have been heating up, ever since we said the Bills season is done, they've been heating up a little bit. So
You know what I'm
I
just
think
now
they
realizing?
definitely Hmm.
You know how for the past few years we've talked about the Bills, like they start out so strong and then mid-season they implode. And
opposite. Yeah.
yes, it's the exact opposite.
Hey,
There they
maybe
go.
that's what they need to go all the way. I don't think so, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go to the Super Bowl, but hey, if they do, good for
No.
them.
I think they definitely make it past the wild card weekend though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like
Oh.
y'all said, the Bills literally ended their season on a 5-game win streak, and 3 out of the 5 teams they played all had winning records, with their most impressive win against the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, the Bills definitely heated up at the right time, and I'm gonna take the Bills just based off of their recent success. And like I said, they have a way better offense, even without Gabe Davis in there. They still have a more competent offense, and I think their defense would do just enough to manhandle the Steelers. So I'm going to take the Bills by 7.
Yeah, I think we're all going Bills here, but you mentioned the Cowboys, Chris. Guess who's up next, and guess who's gonna be having
Ugh.
some flashbacks for a few
Ugh.
years ago, because it's against the Packers in Dallas.
Mm-mm-mm.
And
The only
let's just go ahead.
I was to say the only difference with this matchup, or should I say rematch, from a few years ago, is that the Packers are Aaron Rodgers less, if that made any sense. But so that's the big difference there. So I wonder if the Cowboys will actually get their revenge this time.
Yeah. Before we dive too far into it, I just want to. I didn't. No one really paid attention to the Packers much this season, just because first year without Rodgers, you got Jordan Love starting at a quarterback in his first season, and just gonna throw some like love his way. This man went for 4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, and a 96 rating QBR rating this
Don't
season.
think
Like,
I don't think I
I'm
don't think
just
I
saying,
didn't
like,
realize what you're doing there. You're gonna throw
no,
love his way.
yeah, I'm just saying it. That was unintentional. I'm just
Wow.
smooth like that. That's how my game is. But I mean, everyone is so focused on all the big talks about Lamar, about Hurts, about all these big quarterbacks, and Love in the background just low key having a much better full season than Rodgers' first full season with the Packers, and no one's really talked about it. Like I said, I didn't see the stats until a couple days ago after the season ended, and I mean he low key balled out with Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, like not big name receivers. Like he's kind of like Houston, mid tier receivers, tight ends, like just out there just not complaining. You don't see him throwing his team under the bus, and just out there having himself a hell of a first season with Green Bay. Got him to the playoffs, right? Everyone was concerned about what he would do, and I mean, here they are. First season and taking them to the playoffs.
Yeah, he definitely does deserve some credit.
Yeah.
His overall season stats are slightly misleading because he did have like 2 or 3 like dud games,
Oh, for
but
sure.
he made up for it in other ones. So like overall, he had a pretty good season, and I think that they're in safe hands for next year. Like they have no reason to pursue another quarterback.
No, and the ceiling only goes up from there. Like you've seen what he can do with mid-tier receivers. Now let's go get him some help, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone left. Like Adams left. You know, who went to the Jets that they because Rodgers was over there. They went and chased him. Alan
Lazard,
Lazard went. Like everyone dipped, and he was left with Watson and Dobbs, and Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in the backfield help out a ton because everyone's afraid of Aaron Jones, who plays him because of the running back he is. So I mean, he did this kind of like Stroud did with just mid-tier receivers that can still get the job done. So. But it doesn't change my mind. They're gonna lose against this Dallas defense. Like I'm being honest, like Dallas's defense is top 2 defense, top 3 defense in the whole league, in my opinion. Uh, Obviously behind the Niners. Uh, I just don't. I think they're just. It's at home for Dallas. That's major. Like That is big for them to be able to play at home, round one. We know they can choke playoff games. We're not dismissing that, people. We're not. But this is at home. If it was an away game, hey, we could say they might lose. They're not great
Yeah,
on the road. But
correct me if I'm
this
wrong.
is home.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't they undefeated in Dallas this year?
They are. They are. I think they maybe have lost one game at home this season.
Was the Buffalo game not in Dallas?
Oh, I think
That's what I'm saying. I think they
was
have
it in
lost one.
Buffalo?
No, it was in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's what I thought.
But I still think, unfortunately, the way the Packers have played, I just don't think they're going to be able to stop that offense. CD is having a stellar year. Tony Ferguson out of nowhere, like everyone was upset that they lost Schultz, but then Ferguson just comes in and just steps up and has himself a season. Brandon Cooks is doing Brandon Cooks things like he does when he goes to teams. Michael Gallup, like offense is doing pretty well. That defense is not going to be able to stop Dallas's offense. That offense isn't going to be able to do much against the defense. Like, unfortunate for the Packers, but I think it's a round one exit. I'm not going to say it's a massacre though, because we know how Dallas can play. They start off very rocky, slow. But I think it's at least a touchdown, 7 to 10 points minimum that they get in there and they win.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that. Cowboys.
I agree. The Packers were lucky to make the playoffs, honestly. Just everything broke right for them to even make it. And the Cowboys definitely earned their spot this year. And these two franchises, like, I mean, how many years has it been? You've got Favre going up against the Cowboys, and then you've got Rodgers going up against the Cowboys. And now you've got Mike McCarthy, the former Packer, over in Dallas, and I think he's coaching for his job these playoffs. Like if the Cowboys lose to the Packers, then Mike McCarthy's gone. So I think the Cowboys just need this win. And the Packers just don't have it. They just don't have what it takes this year. Talent-wise, experience-wise, like there's very little shot for them.
Oh boy, this is gonna be embarrassing to say then.
Oh goodness.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
There's
So,
no
okay.
way you come in here and say something so outlandish.
Let him
You
do
better
it.
stop. You
Let me
better
cook.
stop and gather
let me cook.
yourself before you say what you're gonna say.
All right. Everything you guys have spoken is spot on. Packers have legit no shot at the Cowboys. Cowboys at home. Cowboys have a great defense. Cowboys have a way more superior offense than the Packers. However, the Packers have been owning the Cowboys in the playoffs for even. I know that they had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre at the time. But what if? And I'm just gonna put this. I'm not even full on confident in this. But what if the Packers continue that success in Dallas as they've done before in the past, even with Jordan Love? I don't know. My gut is telling me there's an upset sniffing around with this matchup. And I'm going to be the odd man out here. I'm taking the Packers over the Cowboys.
You want to
What are
make a
you
bet on
willing
it,
to
Chris?
risk for that,
Oh
Chris?
god.
What are you willing to risk for that, Chris?
What can I get out of you for free
What
with this?
Yeah. What can, because you are so confident in this that I want to be
Actually,
like, I
I'm not.
want this bet more than anything in the world right now.
I'm not even
No.
50% confident in this one. Like,
If you're not, then you shouldn't have stated it, but you have. And it's
I
out there
have.
now.
Mhm.
All right, Chris, how about this?
Okay.
How about if the Packers win, I'll buy you Mooyah.
Oh,
And if the Cowboys win,
I buy you Mooyah.
I mean, do you want to do that? Because I was gonna say you
Sure.
could pay for like half my Mooyah, just because, like, I think the odds are definitely against you in this. But if you want to do Mooyah for Mooyah, I'm down.
Deal.
or Chris, or hold on. Whoa.
No,
Before you make a deal with
no.
Paulo, before you make a deal with Paulo, I
Oh,
didn't get to
God.
state anything.
Well,
This is like
well,
strike
okay.
You got another
Keep
option
going.
here,
No.
Chris. Fan Expo coming up, right? We're going to
Oh,
Dallas in
God.
June, right?
Oh, God.
Right.
We're going to Dallas, right?
Right.
If the
right.
Packers win, I will buy you Saber in Fan Expo.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Oh,
Oh,
dear
If,
God.
if Dallas wins, you shall buy me Saber in Dallas.
Oh no.
Oh. And I do
Dear
love me a
God.
saber. I do need a new saber though.
So do you stick with the
Hmm.
safe bet and just go Mooyah?
You
Or are
could do
you that
both.
confident? Are you?
Paulo
Hey,
said
you
he can
can
do
ball
both.
out and do
He can
both?
give
You
us
could do
both
We're
something.
separate
Or-
people.
Or do you go for Saber and you go for a chance at a Saber?
I'm sorry, Paulo. I'm going for
Oh
lightsaber.
no.
Let's go. Go ahead and start saving
Uh,
your money now, brother.
You
I've
just
already
Oh,
picked
you
it out.
settle.
Well,
I
there
will.
goes like $100.
I know.
Unless he goes expensive and gets the higher ones, but
Nah,
You
nah,
could
nah,
have
nah.
just got me Mooyah, and now you gotta spend $100+
I don't know.
on Will.
Well,
Oh no.
Well, I am 1-0 against Will this season, so keep that in
Alright.
mind.
I
This
should have
is
made the
true.
bet. I should have made the
This
bet.
is
He's 0
gotta
2
be
One
against
up,
me.
man.
one up, Will. One up, Will. Do something, Jose. Avenge me.
Nah, I'm gonna leave this one. I'm gonna let these
Moving on.
two have this bet. Yeah, let's move on to the next one because we're almost an hour in here. Okay, last game for Sunday. Rams Lions in Detroit, 7:00.
And what can I say? The perfect game to end Sunday
Yes,
with, honestly. Besides that,
Ultimate
the
revenge
Saturday
game.
game with Houston and Cleveland. Putting that in prime time, that's a prime time game for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
the
just-
ultimate
just-
revenge game.
Yeah, just the tell of the tape. I mean, you literally 3 years ago, just traded quarterbacks, right? Goff went to Detroit, Stafford went to the Rams, and here we are 3 years later, and just a showdown.
yeah, and this one's gonna be difficult, honestly, for me. Like, they're both really good teams. The Rams have been heating up a little lately. We all have seen what Puka Nakua's been doing over there in the running, I believe, for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I believe it's got to be between him and CJ Stroud, honestly.
Yep, and has the most receiving yards of any rookie all time at 1480 plus.
Yep.
And receptions as well.
This is a tough one. I don't know. I'm gonna need a minute to think about this. I'm gonna let y'all give yours first.
I'll go first,
It-
unless you want
it's
to.
tough. No, I mean, he's right. It's tough. I mean, you have two offenses that are powerful, right? I mean, just absolute units.
I do want to mention one thing I saw earlier today. The Lions, like their I don't know if it was like their Twitter or whatever, posted a thing. No Lions fans are allowed to wear their Stafford jerseys
Yeah.
that day.
Did you
Yeah,
see an
yeah,
actual
Dan
screenshot
Campbell-
of that, or
Oh.
did you just hear
No,
that?
no. Dan Campbell said no Stafford jerseys are allowed to be sold in the stadium.
Yeah,
Like
so
the night of. Yeah,
No, I saw
they
that
are
they're
not
not.
allowing them either.
I saw that they're not supposed to wear them either.
Well, people are
yeah,
gonna wear
I
'em.
saw that there was a fan account that made that.
Yeah,
So that's
But
why
yeah,
I was asking if you
no-
saw an official one say that.
yeah. No Stafford jerseys are to be sold. Was the official thing.
That's
But-
crazy.
No, this is going to be a tale of two offenses just slinging it, just running it, because you have both offenses have running backs that are stellar. Both offenses have wide receiver weapons that are stellar. Unfortunately, Detroit did lose Sam Laporta in a game that was kind of pointless just for higher seeding, which is awful because he had a stellar rookie season for a tight end, just an absolute unit out there in that position. What it's going to come down to is that defense, because in my opinion, the Lions defense is better. They've just had a much better year defensively than the Rams have. The Rams have had points just put on them week in and week out. And not just 14, 20. I mean, you're looking at 21, 28, 35 plus points constantly. The Lions have had a few iffy games, but as much as I want to see Stafford just come in and just take absolute revenge on a team that you could possibly say gave up on him, uh, I say the Lions win. I don't think it's by a touchdown. I think it's by 3. I think this is coming down to the last quarter, to the last drive. Like, this is going to be an all-out just war. Like, it's going to be a game for, like, ages, in my opinion. I feel like just the way it's lined up and matched up. But I do think the Lions, being at home, do come out with that victory over the Rams, just based on defense, man. That defense has just been pretty stellar for him this season, especially
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, just monster on that D line.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I think I think the Lions are gonna win, but I'm gonna go a little bit further than you. I think it's going into overtime.
Oof.
I think
That's
this is an
a
overtime game.
possibility, man. This is
Yeah.
gonna be that old. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not Rams versus KC that was like 40 plus points each a few years
Yes.
ago? I feel
Yeah,
like that's what this is
2018.
about to be. I feel like that's exactly what this is about to be between the two teams. Like, we are gonna see a game that people are gonna talk about and remember for years.
Yeah, I agree. Like I was just thinking that as soon as we approached this game, I was thinking this is going to be an all-out shootout, unless the Lions defense or the Rams defense steps up and just shuts down the other offense, which honestly I don't see happening. Yeah, the Lions defense has improved drastically compared to last year, but they have had their moments where they get shot all over the field. Like they just have a little bit trouble guarding opposing offenses. Like for example, the Ravens game. Granted, that was just way out of their league. The Ravens are 10 times better than them.
They still kept up though.
They still kept up, yes. And can't think of anything else. But I know there's a few other examples. But in regards to this, I think this could be a potential shootout. But I think the Lions' offense is just way better than the Rams at this point. The Rams' offense is good. I give them a lot of credit. And after the way they took out my Saints, yeah, I definitely believe they are a very potent offense. But I think the Lions are way more significantly better than them. I'm taking the Lions by 3 points.
Did you just say that the Lions still kept up with the Ravens?
Oh no, I was talking about the Rams.
Okay, I was about to say they absolutely did not.
I
But
was talking about the Rams keeping up with the Ravens earlier this year because that was a pretty good game too.
yeah, I
That was a good
think
game.
this will be a good game, but I'm also gonna pick the Lions. I know it's kind of a revenge game for both quarterbacks, but let's not get it twisted. This is Jared Goff going up against the organization that he helped get to a Super Bowl, and then they said, "We can't win with this guy. Give us Matt Stafford, and we'll also throw in multiple first-round picks just to sweeten the deal because that's how much we think Matt Stafford's better than Jared Goff." So this is Jared Goff revenge game right here. I think the Lions win it in regular time. The reason why I don't think it's going to overtime is because, like, we've seen what Dan Campbell does. He's going for the 2 point. They're either going to win it or lose it. So I think the Lions will pull out a win.
Glad you actually bring that up. I didn't. Yeah, the coaching decisions is what it's also going to come down to because, like Paula mentioned, like Dan Campbell is going for 2. Like, he is a much more aggressive, nitty gritty. There was everything at the table and is just gonna just give it everything. Like, this is gonna be one of those that he's pulling out all the stops. Like, he is gonna make sure that Goff gets that win, that this team gets that win and goes farther into the playoffs. I mean, it's been 30 years, right, since they've been champs, and he's not gonna let that end in a wild card matchup to the Rams. Out of all teams, maybe if it was a different team, maybe. But of the Rams, he's throwing the whole kitchen at this game, and it's just going to end just terrible. Sean McVay, we've seen him; he's a lot more conservative, right? Campbell's not. We've seen it time and time again, where he's just going to give it his all and just throw everything at it that he can.
It's gonna be a hell of a game, though.
I had a
Yes.
thought for a second there. Imagine this game does come down to like the final few seconds. Imagine it's the Lions that are behind, and they lob a pass downfield in the final few seconds, and there's a no call that gives the Rams the game. I will laugh in the face of Jared Goff if that happens. Y'all know
Mans is
how I
still
feel
hurt.
about that BS he said
Yes.
in that interview.
Oh Lord, we're not gonna let this go. We're not gonna let
Uh,
Stephon Diggs getting the ball
I
go.
know.
Jesus
No.
Christ.
We will never
Not
let
again.
we will never let that no call pass interference go. Will we will
Of course
never.
not.
Who's we? You and
You're the
Chris?
only one still holding on to it, my boy.
Yeah, it will be me and Jose because I stand by what Jose said. We would never let that go because that was a load of crap.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how y'all live.
I find
Y'all
ways.
never let go of
We
anything.
just breathe every day, Paulo.
Yep.
Man's just living a victim of his own mind at this point.
I think we know everybody's pick for this one though. And now to the last game of the week on Monday night on ESPN. Eagles Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
I have a
In
few
Tampa.
thoughts.
In Tampa, of all places, who would have thought?
It could have been in New Orleans if
No,
the Panthers
I'm
could
talking about.
score.
I'm talking about
Right.
between these two teams. Like, who would have thought Philly went from being the number one, the number two seed, back and forth between them and the Niners, to a wild card game in Tampa, not even at home, in Tampa.
Yep.
Like, who
Gotta l-
sees that coming, man?
I know. I won't lie. The ego self-destructed hard. Like, uh, I can't remember the last time that they won a game during the regular season toward the end stretch of things. Like, it just seems like every week I've seen them play, they've taken one L after another L after another L. It's like, and what's really worse is that the teams they went up against weren't great. Like, for example, the last game of the season was against the Giants. They, I believe, lost that game. Did they lose that game, guys?
27-10.
They did.
Yes, they did. That's embarrassing. Straight up embarrassing.
Before
And
that,
then
they lost to the Cardinals 35-31.
yeah,
We can't use the last game. We will negate that because they did pull starters. They did bench people.
that is fair.
They benched people from the start. So yeah, we get it. They lost 27-10, but at the same time, that's but like most teams, they sat people. They pulled people at halftime to prevent
Yeah.
injuries.
The Cardinals
course.
game was the more egregious of the two,
Yes,
for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah. If we're gonna talk about
was speaking to
egregious,
that.
yes, I will agree with the Cardinals game. Give them leniency on last game of the season, just like other teams that did the same thing as they did.
In their last 6 games of the season, they are 1-5.
That's just bad. And that one win they had was the first matchup against the Giants, correct?
Yes, it was.
That's
And
what I
they
thought.
only
Yeah,
won 33-25.
that's just worse. Like, this team, like I said, self-destructed hard. And ever since they played the Niners, they just have not been the same team that we saw them earlier this season. And here they
Yeah,
are, like Will
I'm
said.
gonna read off the teams and the scores for these games here. It started with the Niners game, 42-19. Then they lost to the Cowboys 33-13. They lost to the Seahawks 20-17. They beat the Giants 33-25, lost to the Cardinals 35-31, and then lost to the Giants 27-10.
That's just bad. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Eagles, and I started getting concerned after they lost. Nearly, or let me just, yeah, never mind. What I was gonna say is, I started getting concerned with them after they lost 3 games in a row. And granted, I was gonna like say, they lost to some pretty good teams, so I'll let them slide. But then they started either losing to bad teams or barely winning against bad teams. And I just like, okay, something's up with this team, and it's not pretty. And they've fallen off so hard that look who the hell they're facing. They're facing the Buccaneers at Tampa. and the Buccaneers barely got away from the Panthers. They only won 9-0 against the Panthers
Granted,
for
I
the
do
last
want
game of
to
the
give
season.
credit to the Panthers defense. The Panthers defense is not bad. It's their
Yeah, it's not
offense that
bad.
can't do jack.
They really can't. So, with that being said, I don't have enough faith in the Eagles, guys. I just don't. But I'm not gonna say the Bucks are gonna blow them out. I think the Bucks gonna win by 3, because just that's how low faith I have in the Eagles. Because the Eagles I think they continue their bad playing style, whatever it is they got going for them. I just don't see them beating the Bucks at home. I'm taking the Bucks by 3.
Yeah, honestly, in this one, and Will, I never thought I'd say this. In Baker, I trust with this.
Oh,
Oh
no.
God!
He has said it.
I think Baker's
No.
going to have a good game. And I'm going to say Buccaneers by 7.
Interesting.
Paulo, you wanna follow up?
I think Paulo had a knock at his door.
I think so too. I heard something
Oh
in the background.
Oh, I
Paulo
wanted him to follow up because I wanted to be last because I wanted to hear what he had to say about Baker. But that's all right. Let's just start off with just the season Baker's had. Like all the haters, Paulo, all the doubters, Paulo, just straight up, even last season, and the season before, just hating on this man hard. And I get it, he was dealt bad hand and just tossed around, kind of just like a rag doll, a used toy. And just to come to Tampa, following Brady's tenure here, and to do what he's done, 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 INTs, right? That's a damn good season. That's a damn good season for him to come to a team and them just give him their all and their faith in him and just do what he did. But then again, that other side of the ball, that Eagles defense is still the Eagles defense. They've had some rough games, they've had some rough patches, but we know how the Eagles play in the playoffs as well, and that defense is still no joke. They have playmakers on the front 7 and the back 4, plays constantly. And it's going to be a game, yeah. I think being in Tampa is a difference maker for this one for sure. But I don't know if I have the full confidence in Baker, as I have all season, to be able to beat Philly in the postseason. Yeah, Philly's had a rough stretch. There's something internally, not with the players, but just internally in that system between the coaching staff and the players that is just self-imploding.
Yeah, something.
And you hope that this week that they've just figured it out. Because if not, I mean, it could be a quick trip home. Like it could be, hey, first round exit by Tampa. And if so, that's crazy, right? But at the same time, you hope that they've gotten it together to show us that they are the Philly that they were last year and that they were early in the season.
Yeah.
But I want Paulo to make his prediction first before I make mine. I want to hear what he has to say about Baker and the Bucs in this game being in the playoffs.
I think in Tampa counts for something location-wise, but not something crazy, because Philly isn't one of those teams that's like significantly better at home. I feel like Philly travels decently, or at least they, did before the implosion began. I think the Bucs are a feisty team, and they've definitely got some good playmakers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White's had a good season. Baker's had one of his best seasons in the last several years. But I think that, I don't think Philly is gonna somehow like get it together and be the team that was projected to be a Super Bowl contender. But I think they have enough to squeak by the Bucs. When they played the Bucs earlier in the season, that was also in Tampa, and the Eagles didn't look very good in that game, but they
only
still
won
squeaked
25.
by.
Score was 25-11. A very odd score.
Yeah, but it is still is enough to beat the Bucks. I feel like the Bucks look like a good team against mid-tier teams. But when the Bucks play like you saw what the Bucks look like against the Texans, like the Bucks looks good, but the Texans had what it took to overcome that because the Texans are a true playoff team. And I think the Eagles, like all their like AJ Brown's gonna be back. You've got like everyone that they were benching or all these minor injuries, like all these minor injuries are gonna play through it for the playoffs. So I feel like the Eagles, it might be a tough win, and I think it might be their only playoff win, but I think they'll make it past wild card.
Yeah, and to Paulo's point, the teams they played, they lost to the Saints 2 weeks ago. They beat the Jags, who were supposed to be the AFC South champs, 30-12. Right? You lose to the Colts, which the Colts have been pretty decent. I mean, they finished 9-8 on the season by a touchdown. You lose to the Niners by 2 touchdowns. Right? Like Paulo said, the Texans still, I mean, a high scoring game, and you went touchdown for touchdown and still lost. You lose to Buffalo by a touchdown. You lose to the Falcons by 3. Lose to the Lions by 2 touchdowns. So, like Paulo said, I mean, these teams that are supposed to be good, these mid-tier teams, they struggle with. The teams that are better than them, they lose to. The teams that
I
are
think
above 500, they lose to.
Yeah.
So and even the Vikings with Big Kirko and Jefferson when they were healthy, they only beat the Vikings by 3, which in my opinion is one of their better matchups for the whole season, and that was week 1. But I agree
Yeah.
with Paulo on this one. As much as I've given my faith to Baker season in and season out. I've just liked the guy from when he was at OU. I felt like he was done dirty, being tossed aside by Cleveland. As much faith as I would want to have in him and Mike Evans and that team, I'd love for them to beat the Eagles by all means. I don't like Philly. I would love for them to get out of the wild card round just for Baker, just for him alone. But I agree with Paul. I think Philly just gets by and just beats them again, even though it is at home for them. I think they take that one away.
As bad as Philly has looked, I think like this past week, the Bucks and Panthers game was just a huge indictment of the Bucks. Like the Bucks like kind of got, even though they won that game, like it was kind of they got exposed in the same way as if they had lost to another team because like how do you look so bad against the Panthers? Like it was just not a good morale game going into the playoffs.
Well, I'm gonna stick by my pick, and if it does happen,
Same.
if it does happen, I will never call him Baker midfield again.
No, like I said, I'd love for Baker to win this. I would, but I just think Philly just holds it together at least.
Here's a question.
Just to squeak by though is the thing, man. I would love for him to just to throw all over Philly with Mike Evans. God, I'd love to see that from
Here's a
both of those
question though.
guys.
If Philly does lose this, is this it for Jason Kelsey?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most likely.
I think so. I don't, not for sure, but I think it is puts him more in that lenient column to hang up the cleats.
Yeah.
Just with the way the season's gone, with the implosion of the team internally, with the players and coaches, I think it leans on him hard to look at that option.
Not only that, but if they lose this game, that's it for Jason Kelsey. He's gonna retire, and a lot of these like players are gonna start to like, their reps are gonna start looking for offers from other teams because like they're not all gonna stay in Philly if Philly's not a winning team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
also,
they've got people to pay, man. You've
yeah,
got Devontae coming up. You've got AJ Brown, DeAndre. So you have
mm-hmm,
people to play, and on that
yeah,
defensive side, just the same as well. Like contracts are
people,
coming up. These people are running out on rookie contracts, and they're gonna have to
yeah,
look to pay them on top of paying people that they already have.
yep. And if they lose, Nick Sirianni's gonna be inching toward that hot seat after the year it's been. Like with that talented of a roster, you should be doing better than you are now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick by my pick. I'm gonna pick the Bucks.
Same here. Even though it sickens me to
I know
pick the Bucks.
I know
Chris, you wanna
stuff-
make the Mooyah bet for this
Oh,
game?
God. Good Lord.
Maybe.
Oh,
Oh,
my
no.
Theoretically possible.
We'll talk about it.
I bet.
dear God. But with that, that's everything for Wild Card Weekend. Good Lord,
This is gonna
there's
be a
some
fun
good
one,
ones,
folks.
and there's some ones that we think are gonna be one-sided. But
and I'm the lone one with the rare, challenging bet on the line here, so this will be one to look out for.
Yes.
I have everything against me, but I'm looking forward to it. Bring it on.
personally, I think the two best games we're gonna be seeing this weekend are the Browns Texans and Rams Lions. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but those two look like the best ones in my book.
Honestly, same.
Before we sign off here, I want to bring something to y'all's attention. Apparently, it like just happened like about 30 minutes ago, but a group of Auburn students rolled up to the Bama campus and covered the area around Saban's statue with toilet paper.
Are you
Nice.
serious? Wow. Out of
Oh,
complete
did we?
pettiness.
Did we talk about the fact that y'all put in the group chat, right? That Pete
What?
Carroll's not going to be the head coach?
Ah, yes,
Right.
we did
yes.
But
not
he is
mention
going to
that.
be part of the
Yeah.
staff.
Yes, he's
He's going to be an
retiring.
advisor.
He's retiring as head coach, but taking a different position with the team. A lot of head coaches are getting fired. Please, for the love of God, can Dennis Allen be one of them?
He's not going to
Yeah.
be, but I'm with you. I wish.
You know what doesn't make sense? The Titans fired Herbal, whatever his name is.
Vrabel.
Vrabel.
Yeah, that guy. And that guy had a winning record with Tennessee, yet he got fired. And yet we have Dennis Allen, and he has a losing record, and he's not fired.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Not even losing record with us. Losing record for career. Like it's
Yeah.
just his head coaching career is
24
just gone.
He has a 23-46 record, and he's not fired. Like,
Wait,
Dude,
Chris,
Again,
you said
I
he
want
had a
Mike Vrabel
winning
so
record
bad.
with Tennessee?
yeah, like most
Mike
of his
Vrabel?
career was.
You're
yeah,
talking
he's
about overall career, right?
Yeah.
Like,
His
Yeah,
overall
I was
career
about to
was
say,
actually-
because they were 6-11 this year. That was not a winning record.
Yeah, no, not this year. No, obviously not this year. But overall, he's had a winning record with Tennessee, and yet he still got fired for a down year. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, it's
don't-
not even his fault. I'm saying, like, the GM for the Titans is not
the GM
doing
for the
any
Titans is a
favors.
moron.
Yeah.
Like he keeps sending their best players to Philadelphia for some bizarre reason. I don't know if he just has a love connection with Philadelphia, but
Sends him for a
still,
bag of chips.
literally, like
Throwback to like episode 2 of the podcast when Will said a love connection.
God.
I will never forget.
You should have said that earlier when he said he was sending love towards Jordan Love.
bruh,
Yeah. Should
Missed
have
your mark,
wasted
Paulo.
opportunity.
shame.
No one said
wasted
connection.
situation.
Couldn't do it.
Wasted opportunities.
Well, with that, we'll be back after Wild Card Weekend.
Yes,
Paulo, do you
indeed.
have anything to sign us off with?
Fire Dennis Allen. Fire Dennis Allen.
Fire
Dennis
Dennis
Allen.
Allen.
Fire
Fire
Dennis
Dennis
Allen.
Allen.
Good night, everybody.
Fire